The cantina on Station Omega-7 buzzed with the usual mix of traders, Terraners and off-duty soldiers from a dozen different species. Blue smoke drifted through the air as conversations merged into a constant hum of universal translators working. Over time, at the corner table, 3 seasoned fighters shared drinks and war stories. Krex, a towering reptilian warrior with scarred green scales, gestured with one of his 4 arms as he recounted his latest victory. Voss, a crystalline being, whose body caught the dim light like a prism, hummed in appreciation. The third member of their group, Nala, her feline features sharp with intelligence, nodded along while her tail swished with amusement. Humans, Krex snorted, taking another gulp of his fermented algae drink. I heard one of them tried to join. The Galactic Defense Corps last week, Command laughed him right out of the recruitment office. Voss's crystalline form chimed with what passed for laughter among his kind. Can you imagine? Those soft pink creatures thinking they could fight alongside real warriors. They have no natural weapons, no armor plating, no enhanced reflexes. I heard they need special suits just to survive in most atmospheres, Nala added, her whiskers twitching with mirth. And they live for less than a century. What could they possibly know about warfare? The conversation might have continued in this vain, but a quiet voice interrupted from the neighboring table. You might be surprised. The 3 fighters turned to see a human male sitting alone, nursing a glass of water. He appeared to be in his 50s by human standards, with graying hair and weathered skin. His clothes were simple civilian attire. Nothing that marked him as military, but something in his posture suggested discipline. Krex's laugh was like gravel on a mixer. Oh, this should be good. Tell us, little human, what makes your species so formidable? The human took a sip of his water and set the glass down carefully. My name is Tom, and I served in the human colonial marines for 32 years. Colonial marines? Voss chimed mockingly. Fighting other humans, I suppose. How impressive. Tom shook his head slowly. We've had our share of conflicts with other species. Most of the galaxy just doesn't hear about them. Nala's ears flicked forward with interest despite herself. Such as the void crawlers of Kepler 4 to be, Tom said matter-of-factly. 12-foot-tall insectoids with natural plasma cannons. We held a mining colony against 3,000 of them for 6 months with just 200 marines. Krex snorted. Impossible. No one has ever successfully engaged the void crawlers in ground combat. The hegemony tried once, Voss added. Lost. An entire battle group. Tom nodded. They tried to fight them conventionally, matching strength with strength, technology with technology. Humans don't fight that way. How do you fight then? Nala asked, leaning forward despite herself. We adapt. We improvise. We endure. Tom's voice carried no boast, just quiet certainty. When the crawlers overran our outer defenses, we collapsed the mine tunnels and fought them in the dark. They adapted to that. We used their own plasma against them, rigging reflector shields from salvaged ship hulls. And when those tactics failed, Krex challenged. We didn't let them fail. When Sergeant Lopez got cornered by 5 crawlers, she rigged her remaining grenades to a dead crawler's plasma organ and took out half their forward line. Then the tunnel to the main shelter collapsed. Private Johnson dug through solid rock. For 18 hours straight to get the civilians out? Tom paused, his eyes distant with memory. But the thing that really broke them was simpler than any of that. What? All 3 aliens asked almost simultaneously. We just wouldn't quit. Day after day, week after week, month after month. They'd destroy our positions. We'd build new ones. They'd cut our supply lines. We'd find other ways. They'd kill our people, and we'd keep fighting anyway. Tom's voice was steady, matter of fact. See, humans have this thing. Call it stubbornness. But it goes deeper than that. We don't know when we're beaten because we choose not to know. The table had grown quiet. Other conversations continued around them, but the 3 fighters found themselves hanging on every word. The crawlers were stronger, faster, better armed, Tom continued, but they fought like any rational species would fight. When losses became unsustainable, they pulled back. When victory became impossible, they retreated. When the cost grew too high, they gave up, and humans don't. Nala asked softly. Tom smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. Humans are the only species that looks at impossible odds and thinks, challenge accepted. We're the only ones who hear you can't win and interpret it as prove us wrong. He stood up, leaving credits on the table for his water. The void. Crawlers finally retreated after 6 months. Know why? Not because we beat them in some glorious final battle. They left because they realized something that scared them more than any weapon. What? Krex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. That even if they killed every single one of us, we'd keep fighting. That a human would crawl through a mile of broken glass with both legs gone just to take one more shot. That we'd rather die on our feet than live on our knees. Tom headed toward the exit, then paused. The galaxy sees us as weak because we're not the strongest or the fastest. But there's something to be said for being too stubborn to know when you're dead. The cantina seemed quieter after he left. The 3 fighters sat in silence for a long time, each lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Voss spoke, his crystalline voice unusually subdued. Perhaps we should reconsider our assumptions about humans. Krex nodded slowly. Perhaps we should. Outside the cantina, Tom walked through the station corridors, just another unremarkable human among the crowd. None of the passing aliens would have guessed they'd just walked past someone who'd helped define what it meant in this vast galaxy to be human, behind him. 3 of the galaxy's most respected fighters began to understand why humans were quietly earning a different kind of reputation among those who truly knew war.